It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Eastern Washington's assistant track and field coach, pole vault coach, Eric Alison. How are you doing today?
Doing good. Doing good.
Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching and collegiate track and field?
Well, actually, I didn't have that desire initially. I was at a track meet, an all comers meet, wanting to borrow somebody's poles and pole vault because I hadn't jumped for a while, and I ran into a high school coach who was looking for somebody to coach his son in the high school level, and he asked somebody else. I overheard him, and I told him that I might know something a little bit. Maybe I could help. And next spring, he called me and asked me if I'd help coach his son, and I did that for a while. And then when the community colleges got a hold of me and asked me if I'd start coaching there, and then did that for a few years. And one of my high school athletes had transferred to Eastern, and then they started asking me to come out there and help them. So it was more, they came to me versus the other way around, and I just keep doing it, I guess. So
What was it?
it's pretty fun.
What was it like going to UC Irvine to compete in track and field?
It was great. Vince Oboya was fantastic down there. My coach, Kevin McCarthy, was great. Unfortunately, I spent most of my time hurt, so I didn't get everything out of it that I probably could have. But I enjoyed the team and enjoyed my friends and enjoyed competing. Just wish I'd had a little better career and a little bit fewer injuries, I guess.
How's that like, obviously getting into coaching and first starting off on the high school level?
The first year was a bit rough. I wasn't much of a coach, and I think my athlete didn't make a bar for a good part of the year, and then finally at the end of the year made a bar and did end up doing pretty well. But just trying to transition and trying to figure out the how to balance the good cop bad cop, or the training with what I needed him to do, could get accomplished, and what he could understand was fairly challenging. I got better at it, but first year was a bit rough.
During your time as a high school coach, what was it like coaching three straight conference championships?
Yeah, it was pretty fun. I mean, I had some good kids, some really good kids, and then we started kind of coaching the girl. We started coaching the girls in the state of Washington, and so we had a bit of a head start, and we had some really good athletes, and so expectations were pretty high for them, and you kind of set the bar up where you think they can achieve, and hopefully they do, and in that case they did. So it was great.
What was it like, obviously, throughout your high school coaching experience, seeing three state champions?
And that was pretty fun. It's pretty quick period of time too. One of them was double state champion, back to back. It's a hard thing to do. So it was pretty exciting to have that happen, and I think two of them were in our backyard here in Eastern Washington. So that was even more fun.
What was the transition like from you from going from being a high school coach to getting into the college level and first starting off at the community college level?
Yeah, it wasn't that much really. One of my high school athletes was at the community college, so I'd already been coaching him for a few years. So he already had some buy-in, and that helped with the other athletes. There's a little bit more politics involved at the college level, and that's always a little bit more challenging. And then our conference, we had a really good coach at one of the other colleges, and everybody expected him to win all the time. And when we started challenging him a little bit, that became opened the door up, I guess, and became a little bit more fun for everybody.
What was that like, obviously, getting to coach the men's and the women on a college level?
Uh, just they're different athletes. They're a little older. You get to treat them a little bit as more as adults, I guess. And I try and coach them pretty much the same, but yeah, maybe a little bit. The girls may be a little softer than sometimes the guys, or the girls think I'm a little harder on them than I am the guys. So, it's just they're young adults, and you're just trying to help them through that period of time and get to be better adults and hopefully good athletes at the same time.
In 2001, what was it like getting to come to Eastern Washington to become the pole vault coach?
Again, it was um, I transitioned. I kept coaching the high school for a couple of years while I was coaching the community college until some of my high school athletes graduated, and then I doubled up at the community college in Eastern for a couple of years too until time constraints became a little bit too difficult. But one of my high school athletes had gone to Eastern, and that's how we kind of got tied in out there. So same thing, kind of coaching her again, and then coaching some of the other athletes there. And again, not a lot different, just a different level of athlete, really. Just set the expectations for them. Try and teach them how to do the basics, and hopefully they figure it out and get a little bit better.
How was that 2005 season like going to the conference outdoor championship?
Was that the guys? Was that when the guys swept?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the guys were talking about it in practice a lot. We had a bunch of guys that year. I didn't have actually many female vaulters that year, and they were talking about it. And they were underdogs. I mean, they were having kind of up and down seasons. One of my guy that ended up winning it actually was really up and down. I think it took him 3 jumps to make the first bar that day, which was like, thank you, good job. One of my other guys had this bad habit of kind of trying to roll over the bar or pull the bungee down with his foot all the time. Would never quite do things right. So every day in practice, I'm trying to get him to do that a little bit better. And then, my top guy, the guy that won it, was actually sitting second or third after the first start. And the guy that had the bad habit was, I think, leading it, and it was he made a PR bar with the way I didn't want him to jump. And then my other guy ended up making the next pickup bar. My freshman kid got dragged along and made the same bar. And we looked around and there's nobody left but us out there. And it's like we didn't know it was over. I mean, I wasn't paying attention. I just looked around, all the coaches are gone, and it's my 3 athletes. So it was pretty fun.
Of course,
And pretty really, really, really unexpected. It's like didn't know that was going to happen at all.
of course, in 2015 to 2017, what was it like taking that team to the conference championship for 3 straight years?
Oh, obviously it's fun. The kids are having a lot of fun. The kids buy in and see what their teammates can do, and pretty soon their expectations are the same thing. So they just expect that they're going to follow up with what their teammate did prior to them, and they do. I mean, they're practicing every day against each other, and they're getting their butts kicked every day in practice by their teammates. And the only way for that to not happen is to get better. And so they set pretty high expectations, and I try and set pretty high expectations for them, and hopefully they accomplish them.
Was it like obviously getting to coach the pole vaults for Eastern Washington?
It's fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy the Division I level. I enjoy, getting some of the bigger meets. I enjoy, we're a small school, and we don't maybe have the name of the other schools, but we get to the big meets and we do okay. And we're getting a little bit more of a reputation as a good vault program. So it's fun. I enjoy the Division I level. I enjoy getting, we've got a lot of good meets going on here in Spokane now. This weekend we're going down to New Mexico, which is the first for us. I enjoy getting to the big meets. I less enjoy staying around here and competing. I like to go out and see some competition. So we get that, and that's fun.
What does a typical track and field meet look like for pole vaulters?
Long, very long. Typically, I've got my athletes there 2 hours before the start of the competition. They start warming up about 90 minutes before the start of the competition. A pole vault competition can go, from an hour maybe on the short side, a couple hours, 3 hours on the long side if it really drags out. And if we've got, like this weekend, we had multiple groups going, 2 sets of guys and 2 sets of girls, on 2 different pits, and they're helping each other out and filming and catching steps, and I'm running back and forth between them and trying to figure out what they did on each jump. And it's, you get all done at the end of the day and you're tired, and hopefully you had some fun. And it's a long day competition wise, but yeah, that's what you're there for. That's why we do all the training. So it's fun. They like it. They're my group, and my groups that I've had for years and years are very competitive. So that's what it's all about for them.
Of course, as a coach, what is it like obviously seeing them set those records and even break their own records?
Yeah, so we're always hoping the next one's going to come and jump a little bit higher than the last one, right? My guy just now finally broke one of my other guys' records, who broke one of my other guys' records. My girls keep beating each other's records, so you kind of try and set the bar up there, and then they start, because they saw their teammates do it, and they think they can do it, and they just try and follow along, and everybody pushing each other, everybody trying to get better. So hopefully when it's all said and done, we got some pretty high marks out there that are pretty competitive nationally.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've helped to build for the track and field program at Eastern Washington?
I'm sorry, can you say that one again?
Hmm? Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've started to help build for Eastern Washington's track and field program?
It starts with just having kids I enjoy and that I like. And so on their recruiting visits, that's one of the main things I'm looking for. And my kids are a part of that process. So I want to make sure that the athlete is somebody that's going to fit in with our group and have fun and get along, and work hard, obviously. And my athletes spend some time with the recruits on their own, and they give me feedback as well, that whether the person's going to fit or not. And there've been a couple that maybe weren't going to be a good fit, and it didn't go any farther. And the ones that do fit, we try to go after and try and build a family. Really, is what we're trying to do. I mean, the kids, half of them live together. They all do stuff together all the time. I have them over to my house 3 or 4 times a year, which my wife really enjoys, to try and promote that family and set some goals for them. It's just, compete every day in practice. And, I tell recruits coming in, especially, they're going to get their butt kicked initially in practice for a while until they figure out how to be a little bit more competitive with the other athletes. And, well, ultimately they usually do. But it's a family. It's just, they support each other. I expect them to help each other out. And they enjoy doing that. So it's kind of fun.
What do you look at in those future pole vaulters when out on the road recruiting them?
Well, the track's pretty black and white, so you want to look at marks, obviously. And then sometimes, like I said, probably next for me is their personality, how they're going to fit. And then, like I said, I recruit kids I like. After that, you're looking at, what are their attributes? Are they tall and fast, which is great? Are they short and fast, which is also good? Are they tall and maybe not so fast, which works too? Versus short and slow for a pole vaulter is probably not going to work very well. So I look at what their build is, what their speed looks like. I look for athletes that have done or do other sports or other events, because I like to see a little bit more well-rounded athlete versus somebody that's just been pole vaulting for years and years and years with a club coach. Maybe I can't add as much on with that person. Maybe they're stuck at that certain level because they've been doing it forever. So I'm also looking for perhaps for some raw talent that we can make better. Yeah, I mean, try and recruit the best we can, obviously, to get as good as we can.
Of course, at a typical track and field meet for pole vaulting, what are some of the events that you put your athletes through on the pole vaulting side?
What are some events? I'm sorry. Drills?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have a certain warm-up that we do for every meet. We do in practice before we jump every day. We go through a series of drills that we work on. The plant drills, we do a couple of different plant drills. We do some drills to learn how to get upside down a little bit better on on non-jump days, on a rest day, we do quite a bit of gymnastics work, or we get in the pool, try to do things to imitate it, or maybe slow things down, get them off their feet, making things a little bit easier training wise. But whatever we can find that might imitate what they're trying to do in an easier manner to learn, I guess.
As a pole vaulting coach, what is it like obviously seeing the freshmen come in and learn versus obviously seeing the seniors blossom and compete at the high level?
Freshmen usually have a little bit of a transition period. They definitely hold on one second. You know, there are a lot of times they were used to being the big dog, and they come in and they're not the big dog anymore, and it, you know, affects their confidence a little bit. And you know, we might be trying to make some changes to them that are going to pay off in the long run, but in the short run, it's a little painful. And once they get through it, you know, they do well, and that's where the seniors start to do really well. You know, I had a girl a few years ago. She had several aspects of her vault that I wanted to change, and I hadn't had a freshman for a while, so I just changed them all, tried to change them all at the same time, and it didn't go well at all. She had a really rough season. But the next year, all those changes were locked in, and she started really jumping high, and she ultimately, you know, qualified for first round of nationals twice in one conference, and did fairly well. And is one of my leaders, one of my superstars, teaching the other kids and helping the other freshmen come through. You know, freshman's years can be, depends on where they're coming from, what kind of base they have. So if there's lots of changes going on, it's going to be probably a little tough. If we're just trying to add on, it's a little bit easier. But it's definitely transition. I mean, you know, I got some athletes right now that they're used to being the big dog, and you know, getting into a high school meet and sitting down and waiting a couple hours before they get a go, and it's like, you're not that big dog anymore right now. I mean, you need to go right from the beginning. You're not going to get that 2-hour break before you start while everybody else gets going. So it's just a learning process, and they'll figure it out eventually.
As a coach, what is it like obviously seeing them put on that red jersey for Eastern Washington and represent Eastern Washington on the pole vaulting side?
It's fun, and they take some pride in it. You know, they're proud to be at Eastern and proud to be part of the pole vault crew. We've done pretty well, and the kids enjoy that and like to take pride of it and support it, show it off, and be part of that, and hope build the next level.
What are some of your future plans for the pole vaulting side?
Yeah, well, keep trying to recruit the best athletes we can, right? Hopefully get a few more to NCAA finals. Hopefully get a few more to indoor championships. You know, try and get a couple All-Americans. You know, I'd love to have somebody qualify for the trials ultimately, or the Olympics. We missed by a few centimeters a couple different times, or athletes got hurt that looked like they had a good shot at things. So, you know, hopefully it'd be fun to get to that next meet at some point in time.
Of course, as a coach, what is it like obviously seeing those players go on to the next level and represent the U.S. track and field team, or even Canada?
Well, I've only had one that was at that level. I've had a couple that were close, and the one represented Venezuela, and she was great to have, and it was great fun to go to those competitions, you know, and be at that next level. I would love them all to be able to be Olympians and all to be able to get paid to do this, but ultimately, you know, that's a very, very small field of people that get to do that. So my goal for them is to hopefully do really well at the college level. Hopefully a few can move on to the next level, but get through college and become good young adults and get out and be successful in the work world where most of them are going to be is kind of more what I'm looking for.
What advice would you give those future college athletes that are looking to get started and competing in pole vaulting?
Well, if you're a gymnast, learn how to run as not a gymnast, because a lot of gymnasts don't. They run inefficiently, let's say. Try and find a good coach to help you get a good base, to learn how to start. Watch some videos. You know, learn how to run with the pole, learn how to plant with the pole, and worry about those things first rather than trying to get upside down, because you can't do that upside down parts unless you've done the first couple parts right. So get the basics figured out, and do other sports. Don't just do one thing. There's well-rounded athlete usually turns out a lot better in the long run, I think.
What advice would you give those track and field athletes that are looking to compete at the next level and represent a country, whether it's Team USA or Canada?
Work hard, stay healthy, do the other stuff you need to, get your sleep, do your nutrition, do your training, your after training, you're rolling out, all that kind of stuff, because it's hard to get to that next level. And staying healthy, putting the right nutrients in your body, getting sleep, that's all part of it.
What advice would you give those future college coaches that are looking to get started in coaching and getting started coaching in pole vaulting?
Start slow, build your program. Hopefully go to a place where they're going to support you and give you the tools you need. Eastern's been really good at that. For me, we've got, a really nice pole vault setup, all the tools we need. They buy poles when we need them. And that's one of the things that's hard, is if you don't have those supports, the equipment you need, or the money to buy the equipment you need, it becomes more challenging. So make sure you got the support of a good head coach, basically. Otherwise, it's could be kind of frustrating.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media, along with the Eastern Washington Track and Field Program at?
I'm on both Facebook and Instagram. I think Instagram is Eric Alison 1521. Eastern Washington's got Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Twitter or Instagram's probably the best spot. EW Athletics or EW Track and Field or TNF is where most things are posted. Our social media presence is getting a little bit bigger and better. So hopefully we'll do it better. I'm not good at it. I post some videos periodically. I have a YouTube page where I post meet videos for my athletes to look at and parents to look at, but I mostly posted pictures of hopefully PRs and not much else.
Thank you again, Coach Eric Alison, for your interview, and best of luck in your future in coaching pole vaulting at Eastern Washington.
Thanks, Brandon.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Eric Alison, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate it.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.